The place where the horse could be jumped from a long jump was in such a place that only a boatman could come close to see it. Ikrimah had chosen 7 riders. Among them was a powerful man, in fact, a great man, Amr ibn Abdalwad, whose mark was spread far and wide due to his stature. Ikrimah took those 7 riders to some distance from the designated place in such a way as if he was taking the horses for a stroll. The Muslims did not suspect them. Ikrimah said to his 7 riders while walking, "I will jump the log first." "Is it not right that my horse jumps the log first?" Ikrimah, "No, Amr, I will go first. If my horse falls into the log, do not try to jump the log. Your brother-in-law will sacrifice his life." Saying this, Ikrimah shook the horse's tail. When the horse's direction was towards the log, Ikrimah made a turn. The Arabian-born horse started talking to the wind. Ikrimah loosened the reins and then turned the horse. The horse's speed increased. Ikrimah went to the edge of the log, got up from the back of the horse and bent forward. The horse rose in the air. Khalid ibn Walid was watching from a distance. Many armies of the Quraysh tribe were watching. The earth and the sky were watching. History was watching. The next leg of the horse moved a little further from the other side of the log, and the last leg was on the right side. The horse moved forward at the speed of the horse. The horse's next legs were bent. It touched the ground. Ikrimah fell and survived. The horse and Ikrimah were safe. He heard a cry from behind. Ikrimah looked behind. Amr ibn Abdalwad's horse was flying in the air. Amr was standing on his shoulders and bent forward. No one expected that the horse would jump under such a heavy rider, but the horse fell to the same place where Ikrimah's horse had fallen. Amr's horse's legs were bent so much that it fell on his face and rolled over on one side. Amr rolled over on the back of the horse and was eating his food. In a moment, the horse stood up. Amr got up and got on the horse while blinking his eyes. 2 riders of Ikrimah were coming together behind him. The 2 riders came to the edge of the log and emptied the backs of their horses. And they were on their necks. The 2 horses jumped over the log. The army of the Quraysh sang the praises of Dado Tassim. The Muslim guards came running from this noise. In the meantime, 2 more horses of Ikrimah picked up their riders and got up in the air from the edge of the log. The other riders of Ikrimah also put their horses on their necks. All the horses jumped over the log. There was a commotion in the Muslim camp. There was a noise. The Quraysh and Ghatfan crossed the log. "Muslims, it is time for your test. Beware, the enemy has come." The messenger of Allah did not allow the Muslims to be out of control. The Prophet saw that the people of the Quraysh were standing outside the log and making noise. They were making fun of the Muslims. They were also slapping. The messenger of Allah reached the place where Ikrimah and his riders were standing and shouting. Hazrat Ali was also with the messenger of Allah. The Prophet reviewed the situation and understood that Ikrimah has come for an individual confrontation. Seeing the Prophet and Hazrat Ali, Amr bin Abdawad advanced his horse. "Amr, I swear by Hubal and Uzza, I do not see anyone among you who can confront me." Historians write about eyewitnesses that the silence of the Muslims was giving evidence that Amr's fear of them had disappeared. The reason was that the stories of Amr's strength and stature were famous, as if he was the owner of supernatural power. Maybe no one had seen it. But everyone said that Amr can lift the horse on his shoulders, and he can defeat 500 horse riders alone. Everyone agreed that no one could make him fall, nor will anyone be able to make him fall. Abu Sufyan was standing near the log. Khalid and Safwan were also watching. Ghatfan, Ania, and his entire army were watching. And Naim bin Masud was also standing in the army of non-Muslims. Amr bin Abdiwad's challenge was repeated once again. "Amr, I know none of you will come forward." The roar of the Quraysh over the ditch was loud and many drums were heard. Hazrat Ali looked at the messenger of Allah. The Prophet took off his imamah from his head and tied it to Hazrat Ali's head. Then he gave his sword to Hazrat Ali. Historian Ibn Sa'ad has written that the Prophet's head was heard. "Prophet, you are the helper of Ali, my Allah." Historians have written about the sword that the Prophet had given to Hazrat Ali. It is written that this sword belonged to the famous warrior of the Quraysh, Munabi bin Hajjaj. He was killed in the Battle of Badr. The victorious Mujahideen presented this sword to the Prophet. After that, the Prophet kept this sword with him. Now the Prophet gave the same sword to Hazrat Ali and took it off in the face of one of the Arabs. This sword became famous in the history of Islam under the name of Zulfikar. Hazrat Ali stood in front of Amr bin Abdawad. "O son of Abu Talib, have you forgotten that your father was such a close friend of mine? Will it not be a very bad deed for me to kill the son of my dear friend? O friend of my father, our friendship is over. By God, I will only tell you once that you should accept Allah and Muhammad as the messenger of Allah and join us. You have said it once, I will not hear it a second time. I will also say that I do not want to kill you. I want to kill you, Ammar. Get off the horse and come to me, and save yourself from the sword that the messenger of Allah has given me." Historians write about Ammar that he was ferocious. When he was angry, his face would become angry and become like a beast. He jumped off the horse, lowered his sword and struck Hazrat Ali with such speed that the viewers thought that his sword had cut Hazrat Ali. But Hazrat Ali was saved. After that, Ammar attacked Hazrat Ali again and again. Hazrat Ali saved him every time by changing his unexpected tactics. Ammar never thought that the courage and strength that he was so proud of could not work everywhere. So the speed that Hazrat Ali was demonstrating in the Battle of Tegzani could not be done by Ammar, because his body was heavy. Even if he could lift the horse on his shoulders, he did not have the speed of a horse. His strength could be greater than that of a horse. Hazrat Ali did not attack him at all, which Ammar must have considered to be cowardice. He kept attacking and Hazrat Ali sometimes here and sometimes there. The army of the people of Quraysh, which was shouting across the ditch, became silent for a moment, because his bravery stopped while Ammar was attacking and stood silent. He was panting. He was probably surprised that this young man, who was not even the 20th part of his body in his height, why did not he get tired of him? Actually, Ammar was tired. When Hazrat Ali saw his condition, that he has spent so much of his strength by attacking so many times, and he is standing surprised and worried, then Hazrat Ali expressed his surprise that he threw the sword and hit Ammar with lightning speed, and he jumped and grabbed his neck in his hands. With him, Hazrat Ali trapped his leg in Ammar's legs in such a way that he fell on his back. He tried very hard to free his neck, but his neck could not be free from the grip of Hazrat Ali. Hazrat Ali removed a hand from his neck and pulled out a dagger from his waist, and he put his head on Ammar's neck. "If you still believe in the messenger of Allah, I will spare your life." When Ammar bin Abdi Wad saw that the strength with which the Arabs fought had become useless, then he did such a stupid thing that he spat on Hazrat Ali's face. The viewers were once again surprised, because Hazrat Ali stood up instead of cutting his face with a dagger. He tied the dagger around his waist and wiped his face with his hands. Ammar now got up as if his strength had been exhausted. Not only him, everyone expected that Hazrat Ali would not let him get up alive, but Hazrat Ali moved back very easily. He said, "Ammar, I have fought with you in the name of Allah for life and death. But you spat on my face and created personal enmity in my heart. I will not kill you on the basis of personal enmity. What if my God does not like my revenge? Go away from here with your life." Ammar bin Abdi Wad was not a man to accept defeat. Historians write that this was his first defeat in the field, which he could not tolerate. To turn his defeat into victory, he did such a stupid thing that he took out his sword and slapped Hazrat Ali. Battle of the Trench. Hazrat Ali was not ready for this attack, but for his success, the messenger of God asked for help from God. At the same time, when the sword of Ammar and the neck of Hazrat Ali were a few moments away, Hazrat Ali put forward his shield. Ammar's attack was so powerful that his sword cut the shield of Hazrat Ali. The shield hit the head near the ear of Hazrat Ali, which started bleeding. Ammar was pulling the sword from the shield that the sword of Hazrat Ali, which was given to him by the messenger of God, came into action so quickly that Ammar's neck was cut. The neck was not completely cut, but the neck was cut. Ammar's sword slipped from his hand. His body began to tremble. Hazrat Ali did not attack him again. He had seen that this attack was enough. Ammar's legs were broken, his knees touched the ground and he fell. The soil of Arabia began to suck his blood. There was such silence on the enemy's army across the ditch, as if the entire army had died standing. Now the slogans of the Muslims were echoing. According to the custom of the Arabs, the second phase of this confrontation had begun. An army of Muslims attacked Ikrimah and his other riders. There was no choice but to flee for those riders of Quraysh. they fought for safety. In this battle, a man of Quraysh was killed. Ikrimah turned his horse towards the ditch to flee. Before crossing the ditch, Ikrimah threw his spear. One of them, whose name was Khalid bin Abdullah, could not cross the ditch. His horse collided with the next edge of the ditch and fell into the ditch. He got up and tried to climb the edge, but the Muslims threw stones at him and he died there. The Messenger of Allah ordered that a permanent guard should be arranged at that place of the ditch, because the ditch could be crossed from there. Khalid's attempt to cross the ditch was a pivotal moment. He chose a few brave riders from his horsemen, and set out to cross the barrier that separated them from their goal. The next day, Khalid chose a few brave riders from his horsemen and set out to cross the ditch. Abu Sufyan, Khalid, stop. Didn't you see the result of Ikrimah's riders yesterday? Now the Muslims must have made stronger security arrangements there. Isn't it better that instead of going back without fighting, you keep my dead body on my horse and take it to Mecca? Khalid was undeterred by Abu Sufyan's warning. Khalid bin Walid, if we start being afraid of each other's fate, that day will come very soon when we will be slaves of the Muslims. Ikrimah, I will not stop you, my friend, but listen to me. If you are going to take revenge for my defeat, then stop. If you love the greatness of the Quraysh, then do go. Today, while going towards Medina, Khalid bin Walid remembered those moments. He did not think at that time, nor does he know today, that the ditch will be crossed and killed, nor will it be killed even if it can be crossed. Why did he walk towards the ditch? It was the third day of March 16th, 627. Khalid bin Walid went towards the ditch with a few selected riders. He put his horse on a leash from a distance to cross the ditch. But the Muslims who were hiding somewhere on the watch of that place, they rained arrows. Khalid pulled the reins with full force, and his horse stopped on the right side of the ditch. Khalid turned his horse back and called his archers. He thought that his archers would continue to throw arrows at the Muslims, from which the Muslims would not be able to raise their heads, and he would jump over the ditch. But the Muslims increased their archery. The Muslims were shooting arrows in the bushes of arrows. Khalid had to retreat. Khalid moved his riders away from there in this way and walked to the other side, as if he had given up his intention to attack the ditch. Historians, including Ibn Hisham and Ibn Sa'd, write that this was a move of Khalid. As he walked, he added more riders to his cavalry. He thought that seeing him retreat, the Muslim guards would go here and there. He looked there. He did not see any guards there. He turned his hand towards the place with less width of the ditch and ran headlong. Khalid's move was so successful that 3 or 4 of his horse riders jumped over the ditch. Khalid was the first among them. The Muslim guards surrounded him. The riders of Quraysh who were still near the ditch, the Muslims rained so many arrows on them that they had to retreat. It became very difficult for Khalid and his riders to get out of the Muslim encirclement. This was the mark of life and death that Khalid fought by running his horse and changing his tactics. His riders were also experienced and quick. One of them was killed. Khalid was now fighting for defense. He injured many Muslims, one of whom was martyred. Finally he got a chance to escape and his horse jumped over the ditch. His remaining riders also jumped over the ditch. After that, none of the Quraysh dared to cross the ditch. After the failure of Ikrimah and Khalid, there was disappointment in the army of Quraysh and their other united tribes, which was not less before and increased. There was no food left. Abu Sufyan, who was the commander of his and the other armies of the tribes, had already given up. Khalid, Ikrimah, and Sufyan continued this operation to show that their army was alive, that they would go near the ditch from time to time and shoot arrows at the camp of the Muslims. In response to this, the Muslims spread the archers near the ditch, who continued to shoot arrows at the archers of the Quraysh. This chain of arrow exchange lasted only 1 day from morning to evening. The Quraysh, Ghatfan and other tribes that had come to defeat Muhammad were not the kings of any country. They were the messengers of God. God had given them a great message. The prophet asked God for help. How could God have disappointed the messenger of God? In addition, Muslim women and children in Medina kept praying for their success and salvation day and night. How do these prayers come true? On March 18, 627, the atmosphere in Medina became quiet. It was cold and the wind stopped. The weather became pleasant, but it was the silence before the storm. Suddenly a storm came, which was so strong that the tents began to fly. The cliffs were very steep. The roar of the storm and the shrieks of it scared the horses and camels, and the ropes began to break. The Muslim camp was in the mountains of the Sila, so the storm was not bothering them as much as the army of Mecca. The Quraysh were in the open field, the storm was blowing their stuff, the tents were blown or wrapped. The chiefs and soldiers of the army put on all the clothes they had. For them, this storm had become the wrath of God. There was wrath and anger in his screams. Abu Sufyan could not bear it. He got up, he could not see his horse. There was a camel sitting nearby. Abu Sufyan got on the camel and picked it up. According to the writing of the historian Ibn Hisham, Abu Sufyan began to shout loudly, "O people of the Quraysh, O people of Ghatfan! Ka'b bin Asad has deceived us. Auntie has caused us a lot of harm. It is very dangerous to stay here now. Do something about Mecca. I am going." He ran the camel towards Mecca. Khalid remembered that scene today. The whole army which he saw jumping from Mecca to Medina, his chest was full of pride and his head was raised. Behind Abu Sufyan he was going like a frightened wolf. Khalid and Amr bin al-As thought that it is possible that the Muslims would attack from behind. Therefore they kept their riders in their control and kept them behind the army. Abu Sufyan did not think of such a defensive step. There was no man in the army who was killed. Naim bin Masud was also not in that army. When the army of the Quraysh moved, Naim took advantage of Auntie and got into the ditch. He reached the Prophet Muhammad. Today, Khalid was going towards Medina on the same path from which his army had failed. He began to see the mountains of the sheikhs. And if you are new to our channel, then subscribe to it and click on the bell icon so that you can get all the videos immediately. Take care of yourself until the next video. Allah Hafiz.